all, this is Kalori. Welcome to Scrum and Agile Digest. Continuing with our software development lifecycle, let's look at the phases in more detail. So in stage 2, you're designing the product architecture, and the requirement document will be the reference point for the product architects to come up with the architecture as to what product you're actually going to develop. And again, this will be reviewed by the stakeholders, and you have various parameters like risk assessment. You can see how robust your product is. You look at design, budget, time constraints, things like that. Then the next phase is actually developing, building your product, right? So in this SDLC phase, you're looking at the user interface, you're looking at platforms, you're looking at architecture, communication, you're defining security, and you're actually designing the product that you'll be selling in the market. You might even do prototyping. And then you would be testing the product, right? That's the next stage. So here, you'll be testing the application to see, is it good enough? Before you actually make it available to the users, you want to make sure that it's working as expected, as the stakeholders, the product owners wanted it. So I always push for automated testing, and that's the way DevOps is going towards continuous integration and development. But of course you can have manual testing as well. But basically the point is that you test it in an environment which is very similar to the customer's environment. So you try to simulate that environment, and you want to make sure all of the functions are working, different parts of the application are seamlessly working together. You can do performance tests, load tests, stress testing, whatever testing you have. And the bottom line is you need to reduce your bugs and glitches that the user might encounter, and that will lead to a higher user satisfaction and a better usage rate. Stage 5 is deploying in the market and maintenance. This is pretty much the last stage. So once the product is tested, it's ready for deployment. So basically you release it formally in the right market. And again, it totally depends on the product business strategy of the organization, how you want to release it. You might have a limited release, or you might actually test it. Like you can have a beta testing in real business environment. You might just release it to a certain number of people before actually releasing it to a broader section. So basically you want to get some market feedback before you release it to a broader segment. So that's the main fundamental crux of SDLC, right? And next we look at the SDLC models. So the most popular model of SDLC is Waterfall. Of course, there are other models, like you have the iterative model, the spiral model, the V model, there's the Big Bang model. I'm not going to go too much deep into that, because that's not really that popular. And I've not really worked in the other models as such, so I don't have much experience there. But I'm going to talk about Waterfall because that's what I've actually worked with. So what is Waterfall? Now, Waterfall is a widely accepted software development lifecycle, right? What you do is, here the SDLC model is broken up. It's divided into different phases such that the output of one phase, right, becomes the input of the other phase. So the first phase could be requirement gathering, then second phase is design, third phase is implementation, fourth is testing, and then deployment, and then maintenance. But what's basically happening is it's flowing like a waterfall, right? And you basically will start with the concept, requirement, then you'll do design, implementation, then you will do integration testing, and at the end of it, you'll deploy and maintain it, and you'll do maintenance. And in traditional project management, we also do work breakdown structure. So, in every phase of your waterfall, you basically do a work breakdown structure and see, you kind of estimate how much time each work is going to take and what actually is the work that you'll be doing in every phase. Now, traditionally, waterfall has worked in multiple organizations, right? Why does it work? It's an established process. It's a mature process, right? Especially when requirements are not changing frequently. Yeah, you can do waterfall. You log down your requirements, then you move on to the next stage, design, then you move on to the next stage, and so on, right? So you're not doing anything iteratively. You're waiting for the previous process to end. You're getting the output of the previous process that becomes the input of the next process, and that's how you're progressing like a waterfall. It's predictable. So, if your requirements are clear, application is not complicated, environment is stable, yeah, sure, go for waterfall. It has low uncertainty. If your resources are available, they are trained, sure, you can go for waterfall. Now, so this slide pretty much talks about that. What is waterfall good for, right? Low uncertainty projects, high dependency projects, works very well with construction, maintenance projects, where you're doing blueprints of what you're going to build. Requirements are very well defined. However, there are multiple disadvantages of waterfall, right? You need to finish all the layers of the waterfall phase gates before you can actually get a finished product to be delivered. And that can take months, that can take years. So, the market might have changed, the demand might have changed. So the finished product that you're delivering, let's say 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line, it may not even be relevant anymore, right? And then, every phase gate is very rigid, right? So if you're in the testing phase, let's say, it's very difficult for you to actually go back and change anything because you've spent considerable amount of time in the testing phase already. You might have spent I'm just making this number up, 3 months in requirements, 2 months in design, things like that. So it's a big chunk of time that you're investing. So it makes it very difficult for you to actually go back and change something, right? It's resources, it's time, it's money. Also, if you think about the feedback, right? You are waiting for 6 months to a year to actually show your finished product to the stakeholders, right? So you're waiting that long of a time to get your feedback, right? So you're increasing your risk, you're increasing uncertainty. What if the stakeholder doesn't like the product? What are you going to do then? And it's also not a good model where requirements change frequently, right? So it's a long product development cycle, difficult to accommodate changes. These are pretty much the disadvantages of waterfall. I really like this diagram. This is the tree swing story. So, it's pretty clear, right? If you look at the figure 1, this is basically what the customer explained it, right? He just wanted to swing on the tree, right? 2 is how the project leader understood it. You can see it's very different. 3 is how the analyst designed it. Again, very different. Programmer wrote it different. The beta testers, it's all different, right? And then you come to 12, and what you see is what the customer really wanted was just a tire hanging from a tree, right? But the problem with waterfall is you go through all these phases, right? 1 all the way to 12 to find out what the customer really wanted. And that could be 6 months, 12 months, a year, right? And all of this time that you invested in building this, all these unnecessary stuff, your resources got wasted, your time got wasted. It's something like, another way to put it is like your customer wanted a Mona Lisa, right? But you gave them a starry night, right? That's one way to look at it. So that's why Agile was so popular, because the feedback was much quicker. So this is a good way of us to slide into Agile. So what is Agile? Now, Agile is a mindset. It's basically a process by which a team is managing a project by breaking it into several stages, right? And what you're doing is you're doing iterations, and you are involving constant collaboration with stakeholders. You're doing continuous improvement, and you're pretty much iterating at every stage. So the core structure of Agile basically depends on delivering incrementally instead of all at once. I don't know how many of you like Drake, but I love this picture of Drake. He's saying, no to waterfall, and that's Agile, I guess. So you can see here, everything is done in iterations, right? Short cycles, and you're all allowing for rapid production and constant revision. And the key is continuous collaboration, right? You're continuously collaborating between your team members, your project stakeholders, and you're making fully informed decisions, right? So, definitely things can change during the project, but the advantage of Agile is that you're giving yourself a shorter window to change things. So, you're not wasting as many resources or as much time to actually show your finished product to your stakeholders. You might usually iteration will be 2 to 4 weeks, right? So within a month, you have shown your product to your stakeholder. You know if you're on the right track. He wanted a Mona Lisa. Are you giving him a Mona Lisa? Are you giving him a starry night? So you within a month you get that feedback. You can make the changes. Problem solved, if I might say. So it's a shorter window, right? So now, most of you might have heard of the Agile Manifesto. In Agile Manifesto, we have, the 4 core values of Agile, that's defined. And basically what it says is, it's individuals and interactions over processes and tools. There are 4 of them. Working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan.